redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Huh? Leaning, leaning, leaning on the everlasting arms. So, every day, you've got to get up and get in the field. And you have to go to the corners of the field, the brazen altar of God. You getting this now? Huh? Because that's where the king has put his blessing. Woo! That's good, isn't it, Carves? Huh? You like that, didn't you? Finally got an answer, didn't you? Huh? Yeah. Every day you got to do that. Because the captain of the Lord's host has said, take some of mine and put it there for them. Now, you're not where the blessing is. You can yell at it. You can shout at it. You can spit at it. You can decree. You can bind. You can mandate. You can sing. You can loose. You can bind. And guess what? It availeth you nothing. Let me say this in Alabama terms. If you ain't where it's flowing, you ain't getting wet. Huh? That's pretty simple, ain't it? Huh? Right? Now, we ain't even got to the New Testament. And already you can see, the intent of God. He said, I've never seen the righteous forsaken. Listen to this. Nor their seed begging for bread. Was she redeemed yet? No. Was she sanctified yet? No. No. Was she a part of the right tribe? No. Well, maybe she was pretty. I heard John just say, yeah. Yeah. I just heard that. Yeah. Want to sit up here, John? Yeah, huh? Had nothing to do with that. No. What it had to do with was a statement in John 1. Now, here is a genuine son of Israel, a man or a woman of complete integrity. Complete integrity. Now, we looked at the triangle. I'm no artist. All right? We looked at ethics. And then we looked at dignity. And then we looked at integrity, right? Right? And all of this flowed. Right? Now, here's Jesus saying, here's a person that has ethics, knows where to practice it, and has integrity. Now, why was someone, I'll use our terms today, who wasn't saved, granted the blessing of God? This is interesting. Huh? And the answer is because they met the requirements. Who was instructing her as to what to do? An Israelite, Naomi, right? Get dressed up, do this, do that, make sure you do this, make sure. And when she did, and she did it just the way she did it, look what happened. First she got a little, then she got an apron full, then she got bushel baskets full. Now, you know what was interesting to me? She wasn't allowed to go and lay at the feet of Boaz. Humble yourself in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift you up. She wasn't allowed to humble herself before the Lord until she had met the requirements and had the right offering. Had the right offering. She didn't have just a handful. She didn't have just an apron full. She had baskets full. Now, anytime you see the term basket in the New Testament, that was for leftovers. Come on. Leftovers. You know, the 12 baskets they gathered up, remember? Remember? So, in order to have a leftover, something had to be complete. And everybody had to have all that they needed. So she had everything that she needed and then some to be redeemed. To enjoy the total blessing of God. Now watch this. She went from a handful to an apronful to a bushel basketful to owning the field. Now, I don't know what you call that. You can call it blessing. You can call it prosperity. But it wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It was nothing more than doing things God's way. And when you do things God's way, He will not withhold the blessing from you. Saved or unsaved. When she marries Boaz, now she has a birthright. And a birthright requires an inheritance. An inheritance. What was hers belonged to him. What belonged to him belonged to her. Christ in you, and you in him. That's fairly simple, right? Huh? How many of you now understand what I'm saying here? Was there some Jericho in her? Absolutely. Absolutely. When adversity comes, how do you handle it? You know what got me? They left Israel because there was a famine. They went into Moab because there was food. They crossed over the river. Moses is in Moab looking across the river. She comes out of over here into here because there's a famine. Right? A famine. She comes back because there's all of a sudden the famine crossed the river. What? Well, maybe the famine wasn't in a geographic place. Maybe the famine was in them. Huh? When you don't recognize what's in your hands, then in your reality, your perception, you've got nothing to give. I challenge you, look in the Word of God at the word hand, and you'll be amazed. Right? In order to eat fruit, you have to handle it. It's in your hand. 9 times out of 10, before something gets in your mouth, it's in your hand. And when you don't recognize what's in your hand, what you have, then how on earth can you participate in the faith? You can't participate in the faith. How can you access the field? And if you can't access the field, how on earth are you going to glean the grain? And if you can't glean the grain, how are you going to own the field? Now here's the thing. You will not tear down what God has allowed you to build up. You won't tear it down real easy. You'll fight for it. You'll want to preserve it because you built it. All right? When you come to Christ, sometimes He's got to tear your city down to build one up. But I want you to know that there's a place and a time for that. All right? The danger here is in this fellowship. If God by His Spirit has seen fit to release this teaching on Jericho, then the process of Him walking around your walls has already started. Yeah. I was doing good till then, right? Hey, I'm marching around my walls too. Right? See if there be some wicked way in me, God. See if there be some stubbornness or some idol or whatever the case is. Right? See, God. Huh? So, there's a whole lot going on here. And I don't want you to miss this. Now, why am I in John? I'm in John because you'll notice that the people that God has selected, all right, already seems to have some of the character traits of His Son. You can't have integrity without ethics and dignity. Can't do it. Right? Cannot do it. You have to know what you believe, and then practice what you believe, and when you do, it raises up integrity, and integrity protects you. Integrity establishes your name. And a good name, according to the Word of God, is worth more than silver or gold. Huh? Come on, you know what I'm saying here. So, here we are, and God has taken us over into the promised land, and here we are, chapter 2 of the book of John. All right? Now, you'll notice that it doesn't take God much time. He goes from one day gathering up, and then the next day, it says the next day. You see that? The next day. He says the next day. So after Sunday came Monday. Here it is Thursday. And Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus said to His disciples, we're also invited to the celebration. The wine supply ran out during the festivities, so Jesus' mother told him they have no more wine. Dear woman, listen to this. That's not our problem. And Jesus replied, my time has not yet come. Now, I want to go back to Ruth just a minute. Who owned the field? Moab. Who planted the crop? Moab. Who owned the seed? Moab. Who owned the stewards that were harvesting the field? Moab. This girl did nothing. Nothing to deserve what she was about to get. You see what I'm saying? Nothing. Jesus says to His mother, our time has not come yet. She ignores that. She says, well, maybe my time hasn't come, but yours sure has. She's able to make a demand, right, on the Son. Are you saying this? And you know why? Because she had a birthright. When you have a birthright, you're entitled to an inheritance.